So these people are, you're going through your interview process and you're weeding out the individuals that don't really have anything. They say, okay, you determine this is some type of exorcism. Is this something different than seeing spots on somebody's aura or negativity surrounding somebody that comes to you for a read? How and when do you perform exorcisms?
Chris?
What's the difference?
The difference is if spirit is attacking you, if spirit is attaching to you and making you act differently than you normally would, if you're scared, if there's poltergeist action going on in the home, there's so many different things, and you have to, like you said, you have to weed out the people who think that there's spirit action going on when there's not. Okay, I've said this story so many times. There's a group called Worst Paranormal. Okay, they tried to set me up. Okay, they had me go to a house that the couple said that there was demons in the home. Go ahead, Victor.
No, 5 minutes. I'm giving you guys the 5 minutes.
5 minutes. I'm sorry. They said that there were demons in the home. Okay, and now I didn't know this. I went there. I did my pre-investigation. I told them, listen, I know you think there's something here, but I can't ethically perform an exorcism on something I don't believe needs an exorcism. And I said, I'm sorry, I got to go, and I left. And they wrote this whole big article about me being a fraud and this and that and the other thing. They actually wrote another letter saying this guy's on the up and up because there was no demon there was no bad spirit there, and he came in, did his thing, and said, you know what, I cannot ethically do this. You have to weed out the bullshit. The problem is there's so many investigators out there that don't care about the bullshit. They just want to go and investigate. They want to go and do, and now I'm sorry I went into investigating, but, because there's very few exorcists out there. But, you bring it to the investigation, and there's so many people that investigate, and they have no idea what they're doing. They just investigate to investigate.
I just want to clarify something because the word demon is bandied about today, and what we talk about as a demon is not what most people talk about as a demon. We're not talking about a demon in the Judeo-Christian Islamic sense. Mm-hmm. What we're talking about is an energy form that never existed as a human being, that's very powerful, that's very ancient, was probably original energy on this earth, and manifests in this way, and is detrimental because it's sort of diametrically opposed, rather, to the human experience. It's like matter and antimatter, and that's why they're so dangerous and deadly. Very rare, very few. It's not Asmodeus, it's not Beelzebub, it's not any of that stuff. This is an ancient energy. 99% of the stuff that people think are demons are not demons. They're negative people who were negative in life and transitioned and were negative in death until they rectify. So that's the attachments we're talking about. The true demonic, I've only experienced it once. Chris is aware of this, where this being, this non-human entity, was inhabiting this woman. And during an EVP session where she was out of the room, it called my name, clearly and legibly called my name. That's the only time I've ever had anything like that happen. But as Chris knows, I am not afraid of anything. If anything, if I'm afraid of anything, it's the living. It's not the dead, or it's not the non-energy. I am not afraid of anything that's spirit or energy because I know how to deal with spirit and energy with complete confidence.
What's going on with this Lilica video?
The Lilica video, she was a 12-year-old girl at the time, and we were doing an exorcism in the home, and that was a really interesting exorcism. And as I was being kind of attacked, they were videotaping it, and we have this video. Victor and I both have this video. You actually see the face of the spirit in Victor's shirt.
What happens is Chris
popped at me.
Chris is I'm pushing this thing out of her. Chris is trying to draw it out of her, and Chris turns around and like in shock and saying, "Did you see that?" And as he's saying that, and he didn't see this on my shirt, he was on the energy form. A face manifests in my shirt.
Well, we have that video. It's friggin' awesome.
Yeah.
We should post that again, Vic. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Chuck is asking, when did the fear stop? Chuck, I've never been afraid of anything in spirit or energy, ever in my entire life. I've been afraid of certain people, but never of energy, never of... And you know what, today, I'm not afraid of people either. You know why? Because there's nothing anyone can do to me that's going to make my life any different. So.
And plus, Victor, I'll always protect you.
And that's true, Chris. That's true.
That's true. Well, listen, we only have 2 minutes left. I guess it's time to... Debbie, why don't you put your information out there about your books? Let people know where they can get your books and stuff.
See, I have them all on the wall. Is Your House Haunted? How to Clear Your Home of Ghosts and Spirits. Stalking Shadows. They're all available on Amazon, or if your bookstore doesn't carry them, they can order them in.
You guys see the ghost in her room making the rocking chair move? Look. Did you guys see the rocking chair behind her rocking?
Oh, that's called a black cat behind the rocking chair. However, that rocking chair is haunted.
There you go.
My great-grandfather died in it.
Awesome. All right, so listen, we got 1 minute left. River, why don't you take us out, baby?
Well, we'd like to thank you for joining us this week. You're all cut off, but don't worry. Next week, the first round is on us. Thanks for joining the Paranormal Lounge. Debbie, thank you.
Debbie, for joining us tonight and making a great show.
You're very welcome.
And thank you for filling in that first hour. And
no problem.
Eternally grateful. Thank you so much.
No problem.
All right, everybody. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody. Have a great week.
Bye. You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Chrissy.
Bye.
So, Mr. Chris, tomorrow you and I will get together and do the recording for our guest, Babalawe.